Guys, welcome to the Caring for Creatures show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you for joining us. This is a snapshot of an animal rescue group that is fabulous, caring for creatures for more than 30 years, has been saving the lives of the most at-risk animals up and down the eastern seaboard. The vision and the brainchild of Mary Birkholz, the executive director, the president, and the founder of Caring for Creatures. She is back, sitting shotgun here after 2 weeks, and we're so excited to have you back.
Yes, I am happy to be here, and it's like a picture-perfect weather.
Oh, it's coming fall, right?
Oh, my God. I love it. The
Yeah.
dogs love it. I love it. The staff loves it. Yeah.
Is it your favorite season?
It is.
my favorite
Spring
season.
and fall. I'm not into extremes.
Yeah.
So, at least based on what I do. Nice and balanced weather and life is always good.
I like that. Okay. So we're going to welcome Ashleigh Morris shortly to the program.
Yes.
Before we do, we have some
Yes.
items to highlight.
Absolutely. Let's first start with appreciating our sponsors. Albemarle Veterinary Healthcare Center, I think last week, Dr. Friedman and
Yes.
Dr. Long were guests here. So I'm sorry I missed you folks, but thank you, Diane, for doing such an amazing job.
She was awesome.
Yeah, she's always awesome. We welcome Dr. Long to the veterinary world of Charlottesville,
Yeah.
and hope you all do really well.
She was great too, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always have all these extra questions, and I know the time is limited, so I always love to hear back as to how things are going.
When I asked
Yeah.
her, what is the hardest part of your job?
Yeah.
And she responded, when it comes down to financial
Yeah.
and keeping the
Absolutely.
dogs. I was like, I can.
Everyone listening would relate to that.
Totally.
Everyone in the world would relate to that because it's the challenge. You know, healthcare is expensive, and I have insurance for my dog.
You do? How's that work? I thought about getting that.
Well, you know, I think buy insurance and they never need to go to the vet. That's what's happened. But one of my senior dogs had some expensive issues later in life. So I thought when I got him, maybe what I should do is get some insurance. And he was like 5-6 months old when I got him. So he's only about 5. So I'm praying he still does not need the insurance. But, you know, you never know. Stuff happens. Mm-hmm. So, but the cost is huge to everybody. It's huge. Another expense is food. Pet Supplies Plus.
Yeah.
One of our sponsors here in Charlottesville. They do a great job. They always have specials going on.
Nice transition, Mary.
I know.
That was so good.
Isn't that good?
You're like a pro broadcaster right there.
I was, you know, kind of.
I was
After
impressed.
a couple of weeks off, my brain rested and I can actually think again. Anyway, they are doing their Redford Naturals, as always. Buy a 5-pound or larger size bag, dog or cat food, and you will get 10% discount on the whole basket of supplies that you're buying for yourself. So that's a good deal. Charlottesville Veterinary Hospital. Great folks, Dr. Betts and his crew over there. We just admire them so much. And I am going to just do a little bit of a
There we go.
thank you to all of the staff who recently worked with a dog that we had in there that sadly we had to let go. Half Pint, and Half Pint suffered from some snake bites. And he just could not overcome the whole thing. But they were wonderful with him, and he was not always a happy camper. So we're grateful to all of them for what they do. Featured animals.
Yes.
Always one of my favorites.
Nice.
And our dog feature for today is Izzy.
Okay.
And about an hour and a half or 2 hours before I got here, I got a text from Mallory.
Yeah.
And Izzy just went home.
That's
Yay!
great. Go Izzy.
So you can see what you've missed.
Yeah. Put Izzy on screen.
This is who you could have had.
You could have had Izzy.
Izzy was from a high-kill facility, pretty shy down at that facility, which is why she really never got selected for adoption or rescue. And she got up here and learned the ropes, gained confidence. Wonderful dog. This is a dog that is so smart. I mean, not that I have to, make you want her because you can't have her now. But the folks that came out actually were looking at another dog, and that dog and their existing dog didn't seem to be a good match, but Izzy was, so off she's to her new life adventure. So that's wonderful. We do have, however, the kittens. There's a group of kittens, a litter. You will hopefully be seeing a picture of soon.
He's got it. It's up there.
Blue, Baya, Nigel, Jewel, Pedro, and Tiago. They were born June 15th. Spent some time in my office before they were old enough, and then they moved to the main office, and then now they're down at the Big Cat building, and they're ready to go. They're about 3 months old. So adorable, so social, so loving. You're just going to love at least one of them. So if you have no cats and have wanted one, 2 kittens. I always recommend 2 kittens because they keep each other company when you're not there.
They're adorable.
So, yeah, aren't they adorable?
Nigel, Tiago. Who came up with these names?
All right, wasn't
Pedro,
me. I think
Jewel,
it was Kristen and
Bia?
And I know they're characters in something. So, and I can't remember what. And it could have been a movie that her son likes. And I'm sorry if I forgot. Sorry, Kristen.
Well, I like them. They're adorable.
They are adorable. Activities coming up on the calendar this week, Saturday, is our monthly orientation for volunteers.
Okay.
So if you're interested in becoming a volunteer, we need you, whether it's dog volunteer, cat volunteer, event volunteer. We have many opportunities for you. So if you'd like to come, Saturday, 11 a.m., we start the dog orientation, and the cat orientation is at 1. You do not have to do both, but you can. Dog Fest.
Yes.
Yes. Sneaking up really quickly on us.
29th?
Yeah, the 29th, Sunday, noon to 6. And we're prepping to get there. I don't know which dogs we're bringing yet because they keep getting adopted, so I have to keep changing, and that's a good problem to have.
It is.
So we'll see, but we'll be there and look forward to seeing all of you and more out there. So come on out and see everyone. It'll be a fun day.
Fabulous time
it's
at
gonna be
XR
fun.
Park, Sunday, September 29th.
Yep.
You're going to be in the costume contest?
Yeah, I'm still working on that.
You're
Yeah,
brainstorming?
I want to be. Yeah,
Okay.
we're brainstorming.
Because a few years ago, I think you won,
We
didn't
did.
you? Yeah.
When Rain
Right. Was
Rock
it 2 years ago?
Yes,
Is it
yes.
cookies and milk?
We had, milk
Right.
and cookies.
Milk and
very
cookies,
good. Milk
that's
and
right.
cookies.
That's right.
And there was another one she won, but I also think it was before it was at Ix. She did a bottle of wine and cheese plate. We had
For dogs.
several dogs
Wow.
dressed up as wine and cheese. So if you have this creative idea in your head, you don't know what to do with it, and it relates to costumes for dogs, let me know. Call us. Maybe we can take advantage of your creativity.
I love it, and I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
have photos from Dog Fest to put on the show.
Absolutely.
Pamela Thompson Miller says, Mary, thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Pam.
Give it a like and a share on any of the streams that you're watching the show on. Welcome Bashir from Bashir's Restaurant at the Downtown Mall. He's watching now. James Rohrer, Art Wheeler. You're getting some props, and I guess we should introduce our star guest over here from Heather Hutchison and Chris Super Sweet Wenger. All right, I like your nickname,
Fellow
Super
warriors.
Sweet. He's a fellow warrior?
Yeah, they're both fellow warriors.
I just found out that my girl Ashleigh over here was born and raised in the area, went to Western, and graduated from UVA.
Yes, sir.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. Let's introduce Ashleigh Morris.
Okay.
Who do we have here?
Ashleigh Morris. Well, we all know Ashleigh.
Yes, we do.
You know, professional trainer and human handholder through the process, I will say.
You wear many hats.
Yes, she does. We thought the topic today would be dog parks.
Ooh.
I'm not always been a fan of some dog parks, but that kind of depends on your dog.
Depends on the
and
dog.
we're going to end the park, I guess, a little of
And the
each.
people.
And the humans, more so probably than anything, the humans, as we always say. But recently, and I'll have Ashleigh get into that. We'll start. But Ashleigh was away in Canada and, a week or so ago, and we were just talking before the show about the difference in the dog cultures there. So maybe you could share that with what you noticed.
Well, it's funny because often I have to kind of put my muzzle on and shut my mouth because they did not hire me for my opinion there, so I just sit back and observe. But I was really impressed with the way, in this particular, I mean, I certainly can't speak for Canada at large, but for the one small community that I stayed for the week, they have very, no leash laws, and pretty much most of the dogs were off leash, but the people did their work because the dogs stayed with their people. I did not see anybody kind of wandering off. They would go just a certain distance and then kind of look back and check in with their person. They got along really well. There was one time when I was a little worried that I could see a dog kind of stalking up on another dog, but apparently these two dogs knew each other, and it was a playful stalking, and they started romping. Yeah, exactly. So it was great to see everybody just in harmony and having a great time and not having any kind of snarkiness or ugliness. And the owners, I will say, it was due largely to the owners were on top of things. They would do recalls to call their dogs back in to check in. If they saw any kind of weird stuff, they would intervene before it turned into something that would be an escalation. So it's kudos to Canada in this little town near Buffalo where they have just a dog haven.
Wow.
How about some other differences between how the Americans that we know interact with, we're not speaking for America as a whole, just the ones that we interact with, how they look at dogs versus the Canadians you interacted with?
Honestly, there were a lot of similarities. I think the Canadians were more relaxed than a lot of the Americans are. And I think it might be, again, I don't really know what their laws were. I didn't look them up or anything. But apparently there was no leash law in this particular community where I was in. It's a beach community. And everybody was just kind of chill. So it was not any kind of nervousness or upset or anything like that, which the dogs pick up on.
Oh, sure.
Here, it's a little different because we do have leash laws in most places. And leashes in and of themselves can cause some issues with the dogs. So I think it's similar, though, in that everybody appeared to the dog as a member of the family. They love their dogs very much. They obviously made sure that they did training with their dogs, whether or not, they worked formally with a professional trainer or whether they just kind of knew what they were doing and trained them themselves. It's obvious that dogs hold a very high place. They're esteemed well and are definitely a member of the family there, just like most of the people that I see here.
Your friend, Angela McCormick, has given you some props
Another
right here.
fellow warrior. Today is Warrior Day.
Yeah, John Hunt is watching in Keswick right now. Speaking of leashes, how about, and you threw the topic out about dog parks, how about when people go to a dog park, open the gate, and immediately unleash their dog?
Well, in some respects, that could be the best option.
Yeah, as opposed to having a leash?
As to having other dogs running loose, and your dog is confined on a leash, and depends on how comfortable you are, I'm guessing, and how comfortable your dog is meeting other dogs. We find that when we do intros for potential adoptions, and we do them, of course, on leash, and we go on walks, and then we get to the arena area, but it's tricky. If anybody is hesitating or nervous about what their dog might be, you can see the dog is nervous too.
Oh, sure.
And then suddenly you have, this tightening of everything, and it's not a relaxed introduction and fun time. So there's a lot of factors. And I don't know, how people, what is it they need to look at? What's the dog personality that does best at dog parks? And again, you're at the mercy of the humans who have dogs that are there.
Yeah.
And are they going to let their dog bully another dog?
Right.
And do they have control over their dog? So I haven't used a lot of dog parks because I don't really need it based on being at Caring for Creatures in our space we have. But I'm assuming most dog parks have different size running areas.
Yeah, the
for
ones I've been
different
to, they
dogs.
do.
I mean, for size dogs.
Smaller ones, bigger ones.
Yeah. So I don't know. What would you call the best rules for deciding, should I go to a dog park? And then how do you decide if your dog is going to be a good fit?
Right. It definitely depends a lot on personality and also the owner's confidence, because if you're going to go and like be nervous and uptight the whole time, your dog is going to pick up on that, and they're probably not going to have a great time unless you just have one of those goofy, happy-go-lucky dogs that's just kind of
everybody likes.
Right, exactly. And honestly, I've never used a dog park with my own dogs. I've gone with clients and done sessions there, but personally, I've never utilized a dog park because of the same thing. I haven't needed to. I've had plenty of space for them to run, and I've had plenty of family, friends, and clients that my dogs could romp and play with. I'm not a great fan of the dog park, and I know that might be like an unpopular thing to say, but
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I never tell people not to go, though, because I have heard enough stories and seen enough positive interactions where it can work, and it definitely depends upon responsible dog ownership, people knowing, what, even just the most basic dog behavior, knowing what's going on and knowing when to intervene, call your dog back to you, not allowing your dog to run around and be a jerk. So, again, I'm not one to say don't go, but be aware of a lot of things before you go. One of the things that you and I had talked about is, knowing, like the first time you go to the dog park, what would you do? Biggest thing I recommend is, first of all, really look at the different dog parks and make sure that it's an appropriate place to go. Just like if you're sending your kid to a daycare.
Yeah, do some research.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not just going to shuffle them off to the first place that comes along. Go and actually, probably the best thing I would say is go without your dog the first time. That sounds like a weird thing to do, but I would go and ask questions, talk to people. What are the typical things that you see here? What are some issues that you have seen here? Just things like that to see what kind of environment that you're bringing your dog into before you ever bring them in. And then when you actually do bring your dog, if you decide this sounds like a pretty cool place, go at a time that's not high traffic. You don't want to overwhelm your dog and have them go Saturday morning when there's like 20 dogs running around. Go at a time. Maybe even if you can swing it, try to go at a time where there's nobody else there so they can run around and sniff and check things out, and then maybe go when there's just a few dogs there. Also, talk to people and observe and see who the problem dogs are. I know most of the time, I could be wrong, I'm sure there's dog parks out there, but the ones that I'm familiar with in Charlottesville and Fluvanna, there's no monitor there.
Right.
So it's up to the owner to be responsible and make sure that the dogs aren't creating issues. And every single one that I've been to, you don't even have to ask. Most people are just happy to tell you, oh, watch out for so-and-so.
Exactly.
Because,
I've had people say that. Don't go on this day at this time because these dogs are there and they're nasty.
My dogs are that dog.
Jerry, must have been you. He tried to get into Fluvanna with his dogs.
Let's just say Leo is notorious at Azalea Park. Okay?
Everyone
just leave it that
stays
way. Don't go to Azalea Park on Tuesday afternoons. I love the advice. One interesting thing that happened to us. We went to a friend's dog park at his condo complex, and the dog park was probably like a small backyard.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't really a park.
Wasn't
it was part of like a condo complex,
right.
not a park. Mm-hmm. So it was so like crowded. And the bad thing that happened when we brought our dogs over, the park, or if you could call it a park, had like fleas.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So like we went and like that's what happened. Then we had to do the bath or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then like we asked our friend, he's like, yeah. Everybody in the condo.
So they don't treat
right. So then they had to go and treat it. So I think doing the research is like totally a good call. What are you thinking, Mary?
Yeah. Well, I know some folks in Fluvanna who we have a dog park. And
is that Pleasant Grove?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. And it's a nice. They have 2 separate pens for different sized
They actually have
dogs.
3 now.
Is it 3?
They have a section now for dogs that don't get along well with other dogs that just can go in and run.
That's perfect. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's new. I learned about it myself recently.
Oh, cool. I know folks who know each other, and they're all their dogs get along, so they just plan play dates there. So let's get over there. This is usually a fairly quiet time, and so they use it because where they live is just not a place you can let your dog off lead to run and get the energy out. So, and that's important.
Definitely.
It's important to do. So I do understand that there are people who, maybe made the inappropriate choice because their dog got bullied and then now suddenly doesn't like other dogs as much. There's things like that, I guess, that happen all the
yeah.
time. So it's a process, I'm guessing.
What do we think the reasons are for going to the dog park? Obviously, socializing the dog. If you're the human, meeting fellow humans that also love dogs. Getting the dog tired and exercised, because then the dog is a well-behaved dog if he's tired or she's tired. I would think those are the primary motives, right, of going to the dog park. When we went, and Kathy makes a good point. Kathy Kravinsky. I was recently in Charleston, South Carolina, and of course I had to visit the local dog park. The setup was amazing, and all the dogs and owners got along so well. I'm fortunate not to need a dog park since our dogs are on hiking trails and have very large fenced-in yard. I personally have had more success with what she's saying, the hiking trails.
Right.
The dog's
Right.
on the leash. I'm in the woods. It's not as crowded. I have
Right.
control over them.
Yeah.
They get the same exercise.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm not knocking the dog park.
No, and
Right.
I'm not knocking it either.
Right.
I just think it takes a little better planning and knowing for sure who your dog is.
Right.
Like you've said 1,000 times over the past number of months. Know your dog, It's
Is that
important.
primarily
And-
where you're meeting your clients?
Oh, not at all.
The houses, their houses?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we've gone to the dog park some for interactions, seeing interactions with other dogs and issues with dogs not coming back to their person at the dog park, stuff like that. I don't go to the dog park frequently for training sessions, but I have done it several times. And that's how I found out that Fluvanna now has the third.
extra.
Yeah, because a lady recently adopted a dog through rescue who we don't know anything about him. We don't know anything about his history or his personality. He lives in a home with 4 other dogs, one other medium-sized dog and 3 small dogs. He is a very large breed and a powerful breed. So we decided to see how he would get along with other dogs. We muzzle trained him. Just in case, because he might be a marshmallow, but we
Right.
don't know.
Right.
So we muzzle trained him, and we took him into the section that is for dogs that don't do well with other dogs to see what his reaction to the dogs that were running around playing was. And actually, he did quite well. We were very
good.
impressed with how well he did. And at that same meeting, somebody in the dog park where they were playing and stuff, it wasn't actually a fight. It was more of a skirmish. But the people, I was shocked by how the people acted. It was crazy, cussing, yelling, kicking. It was just
Oh,
wow,
dear.
Wow.
It's
So,
amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I sometimes understand if that's the first reaction when 2 dogs start fighting, you start screaming like they're going to be listening to you.
It just
right.
heightens,
But
yeah.
all you do is get them more excited.
More fueled up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
How
if
do you break that up? You get the leashes?
Well,
Well, they don't have
often they don't
leashes
have
on,
leashes
yeah.
on at a
Well, do you
dog
try to
park.
hook them up?
Oh, no, I don't think I'd do that.
No?
I don't know if
No,
they
no,
have
no.
a pail of water there. I don't know if
I
they
would-
have things there.
I would keep citronella spray on
Yeah,
me.
I would-
and
I would take
do.
something
In
with
fact,
me.
at this particular
Yeah.
incident, I
Yeah.
kept trying to interject and say, do you want me to use my spray shield? Do
Yeah.
you want me to use my spray shield? Nobody ever responded, so I finally just said, forget it, and
Yeah.
reached in and sprayed it at them, and that was what got them to go their
Separate.
separate corners. Nobody ever noticed.
Yeah.
Not one person, because I was afraid they're going to cuss me out for
Yeah.
spraying the citronella spray on their dogs. They're going to think I'm spraying pepper spray or something. And I will also say it does not work 100% of the time, but it's something, it interrupts things.
Right.
And so the dogs were kind of startled out of their zone, and then the humans were able to call them back. But I just thought it was funny. Nobody ever they were so heightened and upset by what was
Right,
going on that they
right.
just didn't even realize that this person across the way is, first of all, yelling, trying to help, and then spraying something. And it was a bizarre experience.
Yeah.
I've had dogs for, say, 21 years and probably have seen 6 real dog fights. One of them involved mine and another dog, and the other 5, thank goodness, if there's a positive here, involved just my dogs. And when 2 German Shepherds going after each other in your kitchen over one piece of kibble.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah.
And
I've
I
had that
learned
happen
the
to
hard
me.
way of
Yeah.
not putting my arm in to break them up because they didn't mean to, but they got my
Gotcha.
arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
so now
Yeah.
all I do is I grab, we haven't had one in a while because we feed
Yeah.
them separately. Now all we do is grab a chair.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and slam
Put
it
it- yeah.
between them.
Exactly.
Also, if you don't have something like that, another way, if you don't have the spray shield, if you don't have a bucket of water, if you don't have something like that, reaching in and pulling legs back. You don't want
that's a
to
good
reach
idea.
into it. You want to be able to. But you do have to be careful
Because
because
they
it's that
can whip
whole-
around
They can
and-
whip around and bite you.
Yeah.
So, and the
I
legs
was
are.
told once that you can pull from the tail, the base of the tail, and
Really?
lift the legs up because that's where they're gaining their traction
Yeah.
for going at the other dog. So if you
Yeah.
lessen their ability
Do you
to
worry
do that.
though that you put that dog in a vulnerable spot in the fight?
Well, hopefully you have two people.
Yeah,
one
hopefully
doing
somebody
each
else
tail.
is-
Yeah,
right.
yeah, absolutely.
Have you? I'm sure you've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me
I
the
have.
most vicious one.
I think the worst one that we had, and thankfully I had a vet there. It was her day to be there, Teresa Olivo, way back when, and we had a couple of hounds who, what it was that triggered it, we just don't know, but they were in the same pen. And one hound finally grabbed onto the ear of another and would not let go.
Yeah.
It just would not let go. And she and I are both in there, and we've got the pails. Of course, you've emptied the water.
Right.
So now we're using the pails to try to slam between it. And she ended up picking, quite frankly, up a 2x4 and jamming it in between them because they were not letting go.
Yeah.
And then the minute the one who had the ear wanting to
go.
rip it off let go, we both grabbed a dog and got them separated. But I had a similar thing to you. It was my first shepherd, Amy, who was about 93 pounds, and one other sanctuary dog I had in my house. She
What was the
a-
other one? The other dog?
She was a retriever Great Pyrenee mix, so
Okay.
she was also about 90 pounds. So I had two 90-pound dogs, and what ended up happening, I was distracted. I was on the phone, and my shepherd's food bowl was sitting in a separate room where she was. The Pyrenee mix came in there where we had it, the fight, in the middle of a hallway, and I threw the phone, and I was somehow able to wedge and grab one by the collar, and I got her into a utility room, which was
Yeah.
right there, slammed the door shut.
Right.
And then I got my shepherd into a bedroom and shut that door, and I went, okay, that was fun. So it is scary.
It is
It's
very
terrifying.
Very
It is
scary.
You know what the crazy thing is when mine fight and they haven't fought in a while is Leo always beats Max, and the positive outcome of it is it like sets the pecking order back into play
Right.
for like another year.
Before someone
Before
challenges
another
again.
kibble hits the floor, and then Max is like, okay, this dog can kill
Get
me.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll let you
Yeah.
have that
I'll
piece.
let you. You're the alpha.
Yeah.
But how about you, Ashley?
Honestly, the most terrifying one was way before I ever even knew you could be a dog trainer. I was 14 years old. I was spending the summer at my dad's house, or a week at my dad's house. My brother was at 2-a-day football practices. It was his dog, a black lab, an English black lab. He was huge. He was probably 110,
Jeez.
15 pounds. I mean, he was a big guy. His head was probably about that big, and not fat at all. He was just
Yeah.
muscle. And anyway, you don't think of a lab being aggressive, but anyway, in a nutshell, one of my younger stepbrother's friends showed up with his Akita, and he wanted to play with my stepbrother. So he's knocking on the door. Being 14, I was still in bed at the time, so I got up, and I wasn't paying attention, and Zeus, my brother's dog, was running around crying. And, I wasn't thinking. I cracked the door this much to, say hello to the guy that was there to see my stepbrother. That's all it took. Zeus was out on the dog. He was trying to kill him. I mean, he was shaking his neck, trying to break the dog's neck. So I'm like, oh, my God, I can't
What do I
let
do
him
now?
do
Yeah.
that. And I could be mistaken, but I really think if my brother had been there, he could have spoken to him
It would have stopped.
and made him stop, because he was that, my brother really worked to train him, and so he could have made it stop instantly. Instead, it seemed like forever. I'm on my brother's dog's back, pulling as hard as I can. I got a big stick, and I'm hitting him over the back, let him go. Finally, it seemed like it was forever.
Yeah.
Finally, Zeus he let him go to get a better grip, and the moment he let go, I pulled back with
Yeah.
everything I had. and was able to get him back. And then, the little boy was standing there like, thank you. And I was like, just go
away,
you
go
can
away.
thank me later. Because Zeus is like everything he's got
Yeah.
trying to get back onto that dog. It was terrifying. I mean,
Yeah.
I probably shook for like an hour after the fact.
Yeah. It is
and I
scary.
still went into dog training.
Well, you're good at it.
See?
Thank you. That was not so good. That was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with this.
It's probably
Yeah.
the scariest moment. I don't want to be a hyperbole, but in the top 5 scariest moments is dog fights.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is.
and he was going for the kill. I mean, that was not
Yeah.
just a
Fun little-
a fight. It was, I want to kill you, and he would have. He absolutely would have, and I could not let that happen.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that doesn't happen to you at the dog park.
No, now we've got everyone all freaked out.
Yeah.
But, we have some pictures.
Yeah, let's get the pictures.
And we were talking about these, and they're not maybe the best of quality, but also pictures are just, as they say.
He's got 'em up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A snapshot in time.
Okay.
And we do not know what happened before the picture was taken and after, but Ashleigh might be able to provide some insights. These were all pictures we pulled from dog park pictures.
Cool.
And maybe Ashleigh can provide some
Yeah.
I love
thoughts.
And these are best educated guesses, and I say that just because you kind of don't know what happened before and after.
Yeah.
And I was telling Mary before the show that at several of the continuing ed seminars that I've been to, people have shown a still. And it'll be something like this, and you're like, oh my gosh, that looks so bad. And then they hit play, and then it's like, oh, they were just playing. So
yeah.
sometimes it
Yeah.
looks
More-
bad, and it's really not. But you know what? That makes a lot of sense because a lot of play with dogs is really similar
It is.
to fighting. So they do a lot of checking in. There's, the play bow.
Yes.
The classic
Yeah.
play bow. They do a lot of that because while they're in the middle of it, they will remind each other, we're playing,
just
right?
playing, right?
We're just playing, right? We're just playing, right? Because they have to keep reminding each other
yeah.
that
It's
this
not
is
for real.
all in just play. This is
Yeah.
not fighting. So sometimes it looks, if you guys want to skip right to number 5, that looks extremely intimidating. Like, oh no, these dogs are tearing each other up. But my guess is that's just total play. I've seen
Yeah.
my own dogs engaged in very similar styles of play where there's teeth gnashing
Yeah.
and biting all over
A
the...
lot of dogs growl, play.
Oh, definitely.
Play
My dogs
growl or whatever.
sounded like they
Yeah,
were killing
it sounds
each other.
like they were.
Yeah, and so I got used to what was normal. And then if it went to a different level, I would interrupt everybody to their separate corners, time out, because also be aware that what starts out strictly as play can lead to a fight. If somebody
Yeah.
bites down harder or does something, to hurt the other dog or do something to make the other dog mad, it can go from play to a fight pretty quickly. So be aware of that sort of stuff as well. Let's see. Number 1 looks, to me, my first look at it is like, oh, how sweet that dog is, like being submissive and saying hi.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, but he could also be being a little punk and like be annoying the other dog, like being up in his face when the other dog doesn't really want him to. You can't really tell, by a still photo. 2, same thing, hard to say. It looks like maybe the hound is distressed, but maybe not. It looks like the white dog is kind of throwing his weight into
Right.
the other dog. But it could very well be just strictly appropriate play. It's hard to say. Number 3, the big picture of the whole dog park, it looks like there's just like 2 dogs chasing each other playing. Everybody else is just kind of hanging and chilling out.
Yeah.
It looks like a pretty peaceful and serene place.
These all look like, on the first page here, like pretty solid, playful interactions.
Yeah.
Positive interactions.
Yep.
Is the only one you see, Judah, if you put the second one on there, is the only one you see that's potentially number 12?
12, yep, the border collie looks
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. But, I mean, again, it could be that it's just showing its teeth, it's over.
Yeah.
They're all playing together, and the border collie is actually enjoying itself too, but that could be a very stressed out dog without kind of seeing...
I thought, what do you think of number 10? I
Number 10?
thought the big
He's
shepherd
over
reaching over the shoulder
yeah,
there
I thought that as well.
looked like a more aggressive move. But again, like you say,
I thought that too.
Yeah.
At first blush, when I first looked at these pictures, when you gave them to me, 10 and 12 were my like,
Yeah.
that could be not good stuff. But again, I can't make the call without seeing the whole thing.
Right.
But that's definitely, it's an inappropriate, like, reaching over the
Grab the
shoulders
scruff.
like that.
Right, yeah.
It's more like frontal. Well, and there's a thing called, I've heard a lot of professionals call it teeing up, where if a dog puts their face over top of another dog back there, they're saying, I'm alpha over you. And so that can make a dog mad if you tee up like that.
To be alpha.
So that's one of the things where
Yeah.
you see your dog doing that to other dogs. Hey, why don't you come over here and take a time out? We don't do that. And the other thing is, if somebody else is allowing their dog to be a bully, I have found in this life that there's really no sense in getting into a screaming match at the dog park.
Right.
I'll just call my dog to me.
Yeah.
And we'll just
And leave.
take a walk to the river.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, I guess to each their own. Everybody's different. I don't understand that mindset.
I don't either. But it's kind of like the similar mindset with kids. Oh, my kid would never do that. A lot of people are like, oh, my dog would never do that. And they're just unaware.
I know my dog's a shithead.
And some people want their dogs to be macho.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, I think that's a little more of a male person.
Do they also drive jacked up pickup trucks?
Yeah.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But or people in general, they admire their dog for defending them or protecting, rather, I should say. So that's another whole subject, when it comes to that, because I don't want my dog.
Which is totally
I do
like
and
a
I
role
don't,
for
you
that
know what I mean?
somewhere, but not at a dog park.
Exactly. Yeah. If it's the middle of the night and someone's
Outside your
coming
house.
through my door,
Right.
yeah, I want you to rip his face off.
Sure.
But I'm also one of those people that tend to think, oh my God, they probably have a gun and they're going to shoot my dog, so let me intervene and get shot instead,
Yeah.
maybe. But I'm trying to protect my dog.
I hope
Right.
you've never had that happen.
No, I haven't.
Thankfully not. Yes.
No, I haven't.
I did have my little Boston save me one time. I know he did, because I was staying with a friend over off of Shamrock.
Really?
And
Shamrock Road?
Yes.
I spent a summer on Shamrock.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah, between first and second year. It's
No
a great
kidding.
road. Yeah.
I had graduated before then, and I was just hanging out. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and my dog is growling at the window, and I heard the screen popped back down against the house, and I heard somebody take off, and I was like, oh, thank God,
Yeah.
Riley, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And he was 25 pounds, so if the person had come in, he would have given his life for me, but 25 pounds, he wouldn't have done much. But I mean, just the growling was enough
To
for
deter
somebody to say,
someone,
oh, okay, not going in here.
Dogs are great deterrents.
They are.
And home security.
Yeah,
And
but-
there's some crazy stats out there about, and I'll look online and relay it in the comment thread, but if you have a dog, of how unwilling people are to even target your home,
Yes.
even no matter the size of the dog.
Yeah, it's true.
I've heard that people who are
Definitely.
ex-thieves say, or rapists say, get a dog.
Yep, absolutely.
Because most of the time we're not going to bother with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if it's a lab, because they'll notify barking, get people up
Yep.
in the house.
Exactly.
Yep.
What are you thinking, Ashleigh?
I'm thinking that even though we're talking about dog parks, I would say about the protection thing I've had over the years, not a huge amount, but a number of people have contacted me wanting to do protection training. And honestly, I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. You guys know me. I'm not one to poo-poo other people's stuff. But personally, I think that you don't have to do that. Most dogs
Instinctually.
Exactly.
protect their pack in the first
Yeah.
place. And for me, especially if you have one of those protection breeds, Shepherds, Rotties,
Yeah.
Dobermans, any of those kinds of guys, go the other end and go crazy with training and
Yeah.
socializing and making sure that that dog is not going to accidentally bite somebody because they perceive a threat that's not there. They will know, and they will protect you.
I think that is like the best advice you ever given on this show.
well,
I totally 100% agree with that.
Thanks. They know.
I agree. They know.
I actually, another quick anecdotal story from my life. I had a Rottweiler who he
know
was very protective, but not overly so. He'd been very well socialized and everything. My aunt was over for dinner one night. He'd met her a billion times. He'd stayed at her house when I vacationed. We thought he was asleep on the floor, and we were on the sofa. And I said something sarcastic to her, imagine that. And she went like this to pretend like she was going to hit me. In 1 second, he was up and had her arm in his mouth. He didn't growl. He didn't bite down. He just held her arm. And she looked at him and said, I was just kidding, Dice. And he looked at me and he went and laid back down. So to me, that's just
Yeah.
a clear-cut example of
Great story.
if
Yeah.
I had gone overboard and gotten him to be this big protection dog, he may have
Ripped her arm off.
Ripped her arm
exactly.
off, yeah.
But being, very well socialized, very well trained, he just was like, you're not going to, mess with my person, but he didn't go overboard with it.
And my shepherd did a similar thing. The first shepherd I had, Amy, and I was outside, and I had someone who was there who was getting in my face about something, and the person was slightly intoxicated. And of course, I just got a little bit on my stubborn streak, and so I wasn't really backing away. And she was out there, and she was looking at what was happening, and she just came right over, slammed her body between us, and I knew she was saying, "Back off."
Yeah. Yeah.
No need to do this. So I backed off. But, you know,
So she was giving you-
She was giving me back
That's
off.
funny. Yeah.
And I know she was, because she never was aggressive. Everyone just respected who she was. She'd give them a look.
Well, she's 93 pounds.
She was 93
Right,
pounds,
right.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
But, they would say, "Why is your dog staring at me?" And I said, "You're fine as
Yeah.
long as you don't do anything she doesn't like."
Yeah.
And they look at me like, "What's that?" And I go, "You'll find out."
Yeah. That's what Dice would do. He never did any kind of growling or
Yeah.
anything like
No.
that. If he was
Yeah.
uncomfortable about somebody, he would just stand between me and
Yep.
them.
Yeah.
He would just
That's
stand
what
there.
she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Body
I love
block.
dog stories like this.
I know. Aren't they wonderful beings? I
They
love
really
them.
are. And they
They're
can be
so
smarter
smart.
than us.
Oh,
Yeah.
so smart.
We don't. I feel. Well, at least me. I feel like we take for granted of how their intellect.
Oh, absolutely.
All the time.
Absolutely. And, you know, and I'm going to put up a flag for hounds, because I know a lot of people perceive them as these crazy dogs baying through the woods, chasing deer or rabbits or whatever. But, man, I can tell you, after 30 years of having a lot of hounds come through the sanctuary in need of help, they receive the most neglect, I feel, of many breeds. But boy, are they smart. They are smart like a fox. And never assume a hound is not an intelligent animal, because they will outthink you at every move. They're clever. Clever.
And they tend to be very sweet.
Yeah, they're very sweet personalities.
And durable.
Durable, and they're quite funny. They have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Um,
anyway.
Anything else in your notebook, Ashleigh?
Oh gosh, we didn't cover half of what I thought of. I guess basically, you know, like I said, to cap everything up, I am not at all suggesting don't go to the dog park. If you need to go to the dog park, I mean, ideally, if you can just do a play date like we had talked about between your dog and a dog of a similar play style or something, that's great. But if you have a need to utilize the dog park, make sure that you have a dog whose personality meshes well with the dog park. Not every dog wants to go to the dog park. Do your research. Make sure that it's a place where the dogs are being, you know, monitored and kept in check. Make sure that you do the same for your dog. There's, you know, a jillion videos out there. Go to YouTube, look at appropriate play versus inappropriate play. Get versed in those kinds of things. If something happens, I tell my students all the time, I realize it's much easier said than done, but try to remain calm. I understand screaming and getting upset because it's very upsetting, but it does just make things worse. So try to stay calm, try to do the things, you know, that we have suggested to stop the fight, but try to get it before it gets there. Sometimes it's really fast and you're not
Right.
fast enough, but if you
Right.
start seeing telltale signs, if you can intervene first, and like I
Distract.
said, we're just
Yeah.
going to go on a walk today instead of playing. Make sure that the dog park is a really good, beneficial thing for your dog, and that you don't go the other route where now your dog is aggressive or fearful of other dogs because
Right.
they have a bad experience. You don't want that to happen.
That's good
Yeah.
advice.
I
Good
agree.
advice. What are
Absolutely.
you thinking, Mary?
Yeah, I agree with everything that she has said. And, you know, nowadays, in addition to the dog parks, we have daycares
Right?
that are similar, but they have monitors.
Right.
So the advantage of that is that you have usually a trainer or a trained person watching the dog's interactions. And if someone needs a timeout, they're intervening and putting the dogs in timeout. So if you choose that route for, you know, exercise and social time for your dog, I think that's great. But do the same work you would do to check out a dog park.
Absolutely.
And check out a daycare center.
I love
So,
it.
yeah.
Good show. We're going to archive the show on caringforcreatures.org.
Correct? Yep.
We are going to turn it into an iTunes podcast by close of business today. We'll also archive it on ilovecville.com. Ashleigh Morris, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mary Birkholz. Good to see you.
Thank you, Jerry. Good to see you.
Yes, caring for creatures for more than 30 years. The go-to sanctuary guys for saving animals for more than 30 years, saving the lives of the most at-risk animals up and down the eastern seaboard, right here in Central Virginia in Fluvanna County. Caring for Creatures show on Thursdays at 3 o'clock. Enjoy your afternoon, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Perfect.
Work?
Yay!
You?
Good job.
Thank
48
you.
minutes goes fast.
It does. I was like, wow.
It flies
I didn't even scratch the surface on warnings and things I wanted to tell people, but
I know we all got ourselves distracted
Yeah.
in stories, but sometimes those are instructional
Yeah.
themselves.
Oh,
you
I
know?
love the stories.
Yeah.
It makes the content approachable.